when, a year ago when everything really started collapsing. And so you can see it had started in 2007, but then in September and October of last year, it really became pretty dramatic. The drop is nice. I think a lot of that, I don't know exactly how much of it can be attributed to it, but a lot of that is artificial in the sense that the U.S. government backs a lot of that commercial paper at the moment. So the fact that spreads have come way down is really just a reflection of the fact that this is now, much of this commercial paper is backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. But if you just look at spreads, it looks pretty optimistic in the sense that what private borrowers can borrow at for whatever reason, whether it's because of government backing or not, has come way down. Okay? So that's good news. If you look at that behavior, this is the commercial paper market, a little bit more detail around that time. Different types of commercial paper, asset-backed paper, financial companies paper, non-financial companies paper, different grades. You see they basically all were affected to some extent, starting pretty dramatically in September and October, and then started to come down. I believe October 12th or something like that was when the U.S. government announced one of its programs to help the commercial paper market, and so the spreads started coming down. A big drop in January, and I'm not 100% sure what that was fully attributed to, since that was across all markets, non-financials as well as financials. But again, spreads look fairly narrow. That's the good news. The bad news is the market's a lot smaller than it was a year or two ago. So just in terms of dollars outstanding, we went from around $2.2 trillion of commercial paper outstanding, a very liquid, large market, to a big drop starting in 2007, crashed in September and October of last year, and then the government came in right around that time and started supporting the market, and so there was a lot of new issues at that point. But starting, again, that has dropped, so it's now roughly half the size that it was a couple of years ago. So just in terms of outstanding and how much money's involved here, that market has shrunk quite a bit. Okay? So there's some good news and some bad news. Other markets that were affected by this, so this is the interbank lending market. One of the popular measures of this that sort of entered popular terminology last year was the TED spread, comparing what large banks in London would lend to each other at for 3 months versus, again, the 3-month Treasury bill rate. So comparing it to what the U.S. government could borrow at. And again, you see starting in 2007 and then quite dramatically in September and October of last year, quite dramatically, those spreads became very, very large. So you're talking about 4%, on an annualized basis between what a large bank in London could borrow at and what the U.S. government could borrow at. So that, again, the good news is that has narrowed quite considerably. I believe this is somewhere around 25 basis points today, which is much closer, as you can see.